Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Take the North podcast. Thank you so much for being with us, along with Dan Wiederer of The Athletic. I am Mark Grote of Chicago Sports Radio 670 The Score. Dan and I are both at Halas Hall after listening to QB1 speak today. Caleb Williams was front and center at the lectern out here in Lake Forest today, as was for a second straight day the head coach of the Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson. Plus, we got ourselves into the locker room as well. Danny, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. We are ever closer to an actual football game being played Monday night at Soldier Field, Bears Vikings on the big stage. And I think everybody, reporters, players, coaches alike, can't wait to get that thing going so we can kind of move on, right? And start to advance the story of the 2025 Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that said, as we do get closer, we have our predictions show today.
This is your first. This is your predictions. You're getting to do this for the first time.
I can't wait to go through this. And I'll be honest, like it was, I don't know how you felt about it or how Studs felt about it, because Adam Studzinski, our executive producer, will join us for that segment as well. It's a difficult exercise, man. I mean, like we're not just talking about like we are going to do record, but there's a lot of different categories that we will get to here in a little bit. Dan, you have challenged us with these categories that you have posed forth, which we will get to.
And a new addition to the categories this year. There's two things that I really love about this episode. Number one, it's that it is a challenge and it makes you think and it makes you come up with some thoughts on where you think the season is headed and who might be influential in shaping it. And number two, Grote, as I told you yesterday, we come back in January and we review all these predictions, and so there's nowhere to hide. Like, if you make a really good prediction, we're gonna put it out there for a parade, and if we fall on our face, we're gonna bring that back to the audience as well. And so that's always really fun in January, is to kind of circle back on the audio and listen from our very mouths what we said in September, and then reflect on it in January.
Yes, so don't rip on us when we make our predictions, because it'll all come out in the wash if our predictions suck. And I've been known to make a bad prediction or two, not just in football. I mean, I had the Cubs winning the division, I think, in April this year. And I said it loud and proud on the score, although they are, as we record this, I think they're only like 5 games back in the division.
Here they come. Here they come.
But Cubs is certainly not why our listeners and viewers are here. They want to hear about Caleb Williams, who, as I said, was at the lectern today in the media room for us to ask questions to him. Dan, did you come away with anything that you thought was of heavy interest from what Caleb Williams had to say to us, the collective media out here at the Hall?
I think more than anything, as I said a minute ago, I just think there's almost like this itch to get going. I think everybody's sort of ready now to kind of get a game played. And Caleb knows that this challenge on Monday night will not be easy. He knows what a Brian Flores defense challenges his offense to do. And so along with that, he's going to have to be sharp, and everybody alongside him is going to have to be sharp. I think to Caleb's benefit, he saw this twice last year, and so there shouldn't be a lot of things that surprise him. It's still very challenging to prepare for, but I think as we get deeper into this later in the week in our preview episode, there should be some comfort in knowing a little bit about what's coming for you, and then trying to respond in a way that's productive. And we'll see if Caleb can do that.
Yeah, not to mention the fact, Dan, and I know that Ben Johnson and other players, when we talk about last year, they're like, that was last year. We're different this year. The Vikings are different this year. There might be new wrinkles to Brian Flores' defense, but you look at those games, especially the first game, which was a loss for the Bears against Minnesota in overtime. And I did the drive by Caleb Williams' locker today, because I did not get a chance to ask him about the fact that he had the back-to-back elite passes, or at least I thought they were elite, the 40-yarder to Keenan Allen, and then that jump and throw on a scramble play to DeAndre. Exactly. Yep. You got it, man. To DeAndre Swift. And then the 27-yard dart up the middle to DJ Moore at the end of the game, which ultimately set up the field goal to tie the game and make it overtime. And yeah, I brought those up to Caleb, and he kind of like look, he was at least acting like he was trying to remember them, and I'm thinking, of course he remembers. I go, were those some of your best passes? And I went through the litany that I just did with you guys, and he kind of looks at me, goes, smiles, he goes, yeah, those were pretty good throws. So
I mean, I will never forget the one to DJ to force overtime, because it was just a gotta have it moment, and we've talked about it many times in this podcast. It was almost a cartoonish throw with how hard it was, with how on target it was, with the way DJ kind of recoiled when he caught it, and then they've got to position themselves for a game tying Cairo Santos field goal. So those are moments that you can build on. I also brought up to Caleb today, Grote, that his head coach, is 4-0 in the last 2 seasons against Brian Flores. That
you did bring that up, yeah.
They scored 31 twice last year against Detroit, and he sort of downplayed that. The posture of my question was, doesn't that give you at least a little bit of confidence in your play caller that he knows how to attack this Brian Flores defense? And two, maybe there's a strategic wrinkle or two that the Lions use that can be applicable to the Bears. And Caleb seemed to just indicate, look, like, this is a new team, a new year. We've got to prove it ourselves, and none of that really matters. But I would have to think beneath the surface, there's a little bit of something there to having the belief in your head coach and play caller that he does have a formula for success against this defense.
Yeah, and of course it matters. Like, it's the right answer. I mean, for them to say it's a new year and put all that away, because you don't want to just walk in there and assume that Caleb Williams is going to be, as he was, throw for 349. He had to throw a lot. He was 32 of 47 for 340 in that first game, 2 TDs, 0 picks, and those throws we talked about. But of course, there's a comfort level that will grow with every team in your division, no matter how much they change, especially on the road when you start to actually, believe it or not, and I know this is hard for Bears fans to really comprehend, but there is a sense of comfort even in those road games, because you are there frequently enough. So that's a real thing, but they're probably doing the right thing not to admit that. Dan, DJ Moore, interesting as always when it comes to talking about the offense and Caleb Williams. And I asked him, what are you expecting out of Caleb Williams this year? And he said the first thing he said was the next step in leadership. He expects him to be more of a leader this year, even though it was DJ Moore who last year was talking about Caleb yelling at everybody, if you remember that particular day. And then he said, I asked him about what about in terms of throwing the football, and his answer was, we got playmakers, man. Get us the ball. Get us, and then the final answer that he gave in terms of, I literally asked him about the chemistry from last year, and I suggested to him that the chemistry was not great on the field early on with Caleb Williams, and I said, how is that going to be better? And he said he doesn't know. He doesn't know if it'll be better. We got to get out there and see. But you could tell that DJ Moore feels more confidence in his quarterback this year, which, of course, he's had another full year of training under what we all figure to be a pretty competent head coach.
Well, look, and it's funny because some of the things that Caleb is going to be measured on, particularly short term, in this first month, 2 months, 3 months of the season, is just his ability to handle the pre-snap operation. There's been a ton of discussion about that over the last 4 or 5 months, and just being clean and being able to get through everything that comes from the time the play is called to the time you get the football in your hand. And then also today, to marry up with what you're talking about, this distribution mindset of getting the ball to these various playmakers. When Ben Johnson stands up at the lectern today and says it keeps him up at night trying to figure out how to get all these horses fed, it tells you that the head coach is very intent on using all of the weapons that he has. This isn't Mitch Trubisky throwing to Kendall Wright and Marcus Wheaton. You know what I mean? Like, there are legitimate established playmakers in this offense here, and now it's Caleb's job to kind of get them involved, and Ben's job by extension of helping Caleb get them involved, and then just watch the numbers pile up. You don't have to be special on every play as a quarterback in this league. You just have to be crisp, right? And I think that's part of the growth process here for Caleb that we're going to watch with our own eyes here starting Monday night.
DJ had a great answer or response about the idea of equal distribution and getting everybody the ball. And DJ said, there's no guarantee of that. He said, he oversimplified, said, hey, first to get open, first guy to get open, man. And hopefully Caleb will see more of the open receivers this year. He did struggle in that area at times last year, identifying the guy that is open and that can best make the play. I would assume that that's going to be a natural evolution to Caleb Williams' game.
I got another little DJ nugget for you to marry up with this a little bit. We were out at practice, the viewing period here on Wednesday afternoon, and the Bears only have 3 running backs healthy right now. Roshan
Yes.
Johnson's still not on the practice field. Travis Homer on injured reserve. So it's DeAndre Swift and it's Kyle Monangai, and then it's practice squad running back Britton Brown, who's getting reps there. And so they're going through the reps, and individual drills start, and those 3 are in the backfield. And then you hear Eric Bieniemy pipe up and go, "Hey, DJ," which was DJ Moore's cue to get out of that receivers line and come join us in the backfield for a little bit for some of the stuff that we've been seeing throughout training camp, with DJ taking on a role as a player that can line up as a chess piece in the backfield as a running back. And so for DJ to be removed from the receivers line, be transitioned over to the running backs room, it tells you a little bit, or the running backs drills, it tells you a little bit about where some of their creativity may be leaning for Monday night.
Yeah, and DJ, before the questions got too heavy about exactly how he'd be used, he actually at one point in time during his media availability said, "Hey, I can't tell you guys everything that's going on." And he said, like, he was asked about the Deebo Samuel comparison, because that's the easy one to go to, right? Deebo Samuel, who was a lot bigger, stronger kind of type of body, but that's what Deebo Samuel did. He was a running back, he was a receiver, and obviously has fizzled out to some extent. But he said, "No, I'm me." But he had mad respect for what Deebo Samuel has been able to do in the league. So I am anxious to see how they use DJ Moore out there today. So you talk just really quick, Dan. Just want to make sure I heard you right, because I was doing a hit on the score while practice was going on. You said that Roshan Johnson was not, from what you can see, not out there. Okay,
not out there.
All right.
We won't get our first official injury report until Thursday afternoon, and then we'll get a better picture of where the Bears are health-wise. TJ Edwards not on the practice field today during the period that we were allowed to watch. Jaquan Brisker was back, Grote, and there was a little bit of a interesting exchange there, because Jaquan Brisker left the last practice that we were out here to watch a week ago and kind of left the field with Andre Tucker, and that was it for his day. And when he was asked about that, he called it a personal issue. Well, it was definitely something health related, right? Like injury related. Something happened a week ago. And so, Jaquan, it's just, given his history, right? Like, you're just going to keep close eyes on what he's dealing with, and how available he can be, and really just big picture wise, how healthy he can be for life beyond football. And so that was a little bit of an odd exchange today, but it is what it is. And we'll just keep eyes on Jaquan as he gets back into the mix for a regular season football game for the first time since last October.
I got the feeling that he's just done with all that, because he was asked, I was listening through the Brisker stuff, and he was just basically, when asked about, "Hey, you finally getting back out there and playing for the first time in a while," he's like, "It's no big deal. It's ball. I've been doing this since I was 3 years old." His tone was like,
sure,
stop asking about this stuff.
But it will be asked about, because there has been issues, right? And obviously, particularly with the concussion history, you want to be very, very sensitive to where he's at and where he goes from here. And so it's going to be an interesting year one way or another for Jaquan Brisker, and eager to have a seat to watch it.
All right, are we ready, Dan, to get to our predictions segment here, 2025, 2026 style? I'm very nervous about doing my debut. Go easy, be gentle on me. This is my first time.
Never been more ready. I won't really comment on what you just said to me. We'll let that sit there, and Studs can be the gentle caress you need to get through this.
And Studs will not comment on what you just said.
No comment. No comment.
Wait, I will comment and just say, what?
There you go.
All right, how are we doing this, guy? I've never done it. You guys need to.
Oh, you want me to lead this? I'll lead it.
I thought,
all right.
See,
my guy David Haugh used to lead this, because he'd be on the front of the mic. But I'll take over here for your first time here, Grote.
I'm not like Haugh. I don't need the mic like Haugh, like as badly as he does.
David was so excited that we were recording the predictions episode today. He was texting me, because Grote, we were in the studio on Friday at WSCR, and we were teasing the possibility of bringing David on to jump into the prediction segment. Couldn't get it lined up for the week, and he was a little disappointed that he wasn't going to be able to partake, but he's eager to hear this. So shout out to David. Nice to see you, David.
Hey,
we are going to carry the torch.
I respect my founding fathers of the podcast. This podcast was built by you and Haugh Wiederer. So let's get this thing rocking. Who's leading us, Studs or Weedsy?
We're putting you in the leadoff hole, Grote, and we're going to ask you for your Bears 2025 final record.
Okay. I am going to go 8-9. And I guess a little bit of the rationale for this, or my latest rationale, because it is a fluid situation from the moment the schedule comes out to right now, because we've seen a lot. The Bears will play some of the best teams in the NFL twice this year, because some of the best teams in the NFL are right there in the NFC North for the second straight year. So that division is going to be an absolute battle once again. Obviously, the Micah Parsons part takes the Packers up to a new level. Also, you just look at some of the at Washington, at the Bengals, at the Ravens, at Philadelphia, at San Francisco. Those are some bears, if you will, pardon the pun in that case. So 8-9 is my record.
All right, Adam Studzinski, can you top 8 and 9?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I haven't wavered on what I thought even from before the schedule came out. I'm gonna say 10-6, and my rationale.
17-game schedule. It's 10 and 7.
Sorry, 10 and 7. 10 and 7. What, in 10 years we'll finally get used to that 17th game. 10 and 7. 10 and 7. Sorry. 10 and 7. And
I've been watching the new Beavis and Butthead or something. What's going on with you, man?
What?
Carry on. Don't mind me.
Anyway, so I can give you my rationale and like how I think they get there based on like what the schedule is. But I think the most important part to me is this team has more talent than it did a year ago, and they fixed the biggest problem that the 2024 Bears had. That wasn't the offensive line, wasn't the quarterback, tight ends, receivers, defense. The biggest problem last year was the coaching staff. It was awful. They were out-schemed on a weekly basis, and now I believe they've upgraded every single aspect of their coaching staff, including the head coach, Ben Johnson, who is a psychopath. And I think we need to keep that in mind.
I've got it firmly in mind. Yes.
He is a psychopath, and he doesn't just want to beat you. He wants to humiliate every team that they play. And I believe that he is going to find a way for them to be a winning team this season, because not only is he a psycho, he's a brilliant X's and O's play caller, as we've talked about a lot on this podcast and elsewhere. So I'm going 10-6, and I think that it's going to be, it might be a little bumpy at times, but at the end of the day, they're going to win more than they lose.
Stud's little tease for you. Friday morning, go to theathletic.com or your Athletic app and read my takeout feature on Ben Johnson and how he's wired and what he's all about when it comes to putting together an offense. You're going to love it based on the things that you just said about his competitive edge. I am going to split the difference between you guys, and I'm going to go with a 9-8 record for the Bears this season. When the schedule came out in May, Grote, you heard me say 9-8. And I felt like I was really squinting at that time to find that 9th win on a schedule that is really, really loaded. Well, I'm squinting again. And I'm squinting in part because of what Stud said, that I have this belief in this coaching staff with Ben at the top and a really accomplished group of assistants around him to provide the necessary growth and development to provide improvement for a football team that badly needs improvement. And so I'm squinting, I'm looking for that 9th win. I'm finding that 9th win. I do think that Monday night, fellas, against the Vikings in the season opener has a chance to be a little bit of a pivot point game in this season, because I'm not ready to make my prediction yet, but I kind of am, because it just feels like this is one of those games that kind of changes whether they're going to be on that 8-9, track or the 9-8 track that I'm predicting. And so I'm going to 9-8 Chicago Bears in 2025. All right, we're moving on to team MVP. We're going to start this one over on the other side with Adam Studzinski and his 2025 Bears team MVP.
Okay, so I thought I went in a lot of different directions in my head on this, and I finally landed on a really boring answer. I'm going to say Joe Thuney. I think he's just going to be a rock solid person on that offensive line that is going to be much improved this year. And every week we're going to be like, oh man, that left guard is really good. and so I just think that, hell, he was the team MVP for the Chiefs either last year or the year before.
Last year.
So I think that, again, it's a boring answer and it could easily be a lot of different people. I just think that Joe Thuney is going to be a revelation on the offensive line at that left guard spot, and I'm going with him.
It's a good answer. It is a boring answer by your own admission. It's a can't miss kind of answer. So we've got Studs locked in for Joe Thuney. Grote, what do you got?
I'm going Montez Sweat, guys. I am betting. I am betting on the Tez effect to return to the Chicago Bears. Like, I did a quick drive-by. I keep saying that. Drive-by his locker yesterday, and, he's not up for doing a whole lot of talking right now, but I did ask him if he's 100%, and he's like damn straight, ready to go, and he's had a, pretty good camp in terms of the way he has looked. I am looking forward to, or betting on, counting on 100% health, which he just did not have last year. Was not a good season for him, but I think he rebounds. He's too young to be talking about any kind of regression as a player. And I also think that, look, Dennis Allen is going to try to make life as easy as possible for him. He knows, and everybody knows, that the Bears need to get more sacks. So I'm counting on Montez Sweat to be the MVP for the Bears.
It's a good prediction, and it will probably wind up in our postseason recap, because one way or another you're going to get a Price is Right horn or some confetti thrown on you after that prediction. I don't love the fact that this category is as difficult as it is for
really
all of
difficult,
us, right? Like, it tells you a little bit about the team that we don't really know right away who the best player is, and so by default, I'm going somewhere where I didn't think I'd go. And I'm going with Caleb Williams as the team MVP this year. And I'm going there for this reason. They have so much horsepower on offense and so many horses to feed that all Caleb has to do is feed them. And then they will take the production where it needs to go. And so I don't remember what year it was that Steve Nash won MVP in the NBA, but it was a year where it was just like make a ton of layups, drop a ton of assists, and then just watch the production add up in an offense that sets you up for success. And I think that's going to be similar for Caleb, where he's going to feed DeAndre Swift one week. He's going to feed DJ Moore the next week. He's going to get Cole Kmet involved. Then it's going to be Rome Odunze's week. And there's going to be so much distributing the football that by extension, Caleb is going to be the one guy that's the common denominator in all of it, adding the production up under Ben Johnson's watch. And so by the end of the year, you look at it and you say that was a promising, productive season, and he was indeed the team MVP. Again, it surprised me myself last night when I was writing these out, and I said, that's where I'm headed. Caleb Williams, team MVP 2025.
I thought about it. I thought about Caleb, so I don't think you're crazy at all. And by the way, I think Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs, just to throw it out there. But you're right. You're right. Distribute the ball, and that's what DJ Moore said. Get us the ball. And by the way, DJ Moore would have been my honorable mention, just because I'm kind of excited about the way he was talking in the locker room today and what he wouldn't reveal to us.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to the breakout player, Grote, and this doesn't have to be the best player on the team. It's just somebody that has an emergence that we weren't necessarily expecting. I'll go first here, and I'm going to give you a guy I didn't mention in that last little segment, and he wears number 14. He is Olamide Zaccheaus.
Oh, nice.
Who spoke to today in the locker room, and I just feel like Zaccheaus' emergence throughout the spring, and particularly in training camp, has been so eye-catching and attention-grabbing that you realize what he can be in an offense that's going to allow him to make the plays that we talked about. And so he's going to be a guy that I think on an every week basis, you're going to feel a notable impact from him. One week it may be 120 yards and a couple of touchdowns. The next week it may just be, 83 yards and a big catch at a big moment that moves the chains. He's also going to benefit from all the other guys that are in this offense, taking matchups away from him that allows him to move in space. And as long as they can get this guy the football in space, which Ben Johnson's offense is designed to do, I see a pretty productive year coming from OZ.
Adam, you want to hit it?
So, Dan, I was actually going to say Olamide Zaccheaus too. So I'll switch it up. I had a backup in mind just in case, because I had a feeling one of us was going to go there. And tell me if this is not a player that you think counts. I want to go Kyler Gordon, because I know that he's already got a lot of praise, but I think he's going to have a really big year in this Dennis Allen defense. And they've talked a lot about how they're going to be moving him around, playing a little safety, playing in the nickel still. I think he's such a good blitzer, but we forget about his coverage skills actually being pretty damn good too. So I think he's going to have a really big year. And I think that at the end of the season, I don't know if he's going to be the best nickel in the league, but I think he's going to be in the top 5 nickel conversation in the NFL.
Like where your head's at, Grote.
I am surprised and happy that nobody took the guy that I'm going with, and maybe it's too easy, but Colston Loveland. And I don't know if that's the spirit of the question. I don't know if you could be a rookie and be a breakout player.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, the fluidity. And from the first time that I watched him at training camp, like sometimes you can't tell the difference in a guy. I noticed it right away that he looks different. As I said, I keep using the word, and because he uses it too, does Colston Loveland. The fluidity, seeing him lining up in all sorts of different places along the line, and we know how much Ben Johnson loves that tight end position and 12 personnel and all of that. So Colston Loveland is my breakout player for this year.
Grote's got those 2 little heart emojis coming out of his eyes right now.
I kinda do.
In the Coast and Loveland description. I love it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what he's able to do his rookie season. We're coming right back to you, Grote, for
Okay.
the hardest category of all in our predictions episode, because this is one, particularly for those of us who are out here, that takes some thought and some care. And so we're going to ask you, and we've been right on this a lot over the years, by the way.
Really?
Most disappointing player, do you have one?
It's going to be Luther Burden. I'm sorry to say that, just because I think Luther Burden could be good. I just don't think it's going to be right away. I do think that some of the not having participated in the off-season program, when I say that, I mean the OTAs and the mini camps and the rookie camp and all that, because he was hurt. People are going to be, and I think this relative to expectations, people are going to want to see Luther Burden. He's the new guy, right? He's the dude that, the kind of the little bit of mysterious in terms of him coming here and all of that and not expected to be here. So, and he was a second rounder. I'm not saying he is in any way, shape, or form like Anthony Miller, but I remember being very excited about Anthony Miller, a guy that the Bears moved up in the draft to get, I think in 2018. I think 2018 was his rookie year.
Yep,
and he had some moments. He did have a pretty good year as a rookie. So, but he turned out to be disappointing.
No doubt.
So I am trying to maintain some perspective on Luther Burden, who I think can be very good. I just think that there's too many options that will end up being ahead of him, as much as they want to have equal distribution. So I think there will be some relative disappointment with Luther Burden.
Before we move on to studs, I'm raising my hand as somebody that tooted the Anthony Miller trumpet a lot and then has to confess that I tooted it too much because he never really materialized into the type of player that they thought they were getting on draft night. A lot of reasons for that. But you're right. Anthony Miller was a disappointment here. And now you've got Luther Burden in the team photo with him. Adam Studzinski, you're next.
Man.
And I think we should emphasize too, most disappointing doesn't necessarily mean he has a bad year.
Well,
Just
right.
Right.
I think Luther Burden could be very good. I'm just saying away, he's not going to get the ball enough for people's liking.
Studs is gearing up for a Tory Taylor selection. I can feel it.
Tory Taylor? No. I think Tory Taylor's gonna be just fine. So this one was tough. I'm gonna go with Dio Odembo. And I don't necessarily think that he's gonna have a bad year. I just don't necessarily think he's gonna have the production that they paid him for. Not that I still don't like the signing. Not that I don't think he'll be good. I just think that he's not gonna flash in the way that we're hoping he will. And so that I'm going to go Dio Odembo.
Okay.
I'll just keep it concise there.
All right. I'm going to put your jaws on the floor here, fellas, with my most disappointing player of 2025 for the Bears. And it is your starting right tackle, Darnell Wright.
Okay.
I have not liked some of the chatter that I've heard throughout the summer about Dan Rochar said it out loud when we got the assistant coaches in early August about the inability to kind of create that extra edge that they want in Darnell Wright, that his play can struggle a little bit when there's a concentration lapse or a focus lapse. And so you're talking about a player that the Bears selected in the top 10. Top 10 selections need to earn a second contract. This is only year 3 for Darnell Wright. But right now, if you were trying to bet on whether Darnell Wright would be here beyond his rookie contract, I think you'd have a little bit of hesitation in locking him in there. And some of the things that you hear around this facility lead you to believe that there's a lot for Darnell Wright to prove. And so we're going to see how that all plays out here. You know that the backup right tackle is a second-round pick in Ozzie Trapillo right now. There's a lot for Darnell Wright to prove. We'll see if he can prove it. But for right now, I need to see some things with my own eyes. And so he is my most disappointing prediction.
That's fair. I mean, the coaching staff, is around the building, and they have been on the microphone challenging Darnell Wright as well. Not denigrating, but very much saying he can be better.
We are going to Adam Studzinski for our next category, which is Caleb Williams' stat line in terms of passing yards, touchdown passes, and passer rating for 2025. Studs, do you have some numbers for us for Caleb?
Okay, so I did a little bit of research to kind of back up where I'm going with this, and it's just like brief little things. So ultimately, I think that what Caleb is going to end up passing yards wise, I'm going to go 39.05. So he's going to break the Bears single season passing record, but he's not going to hit 4,000 yards. And the reason I went with this is because we have to keep in mind there was only 6 4,000 yard passers in the entire league last year. It is not an easy number to hit, even in the modern NFL with as much offensive explosion as there's been. However, I do think that Caleb Williams is going to be the first Bears quarterback to throw for 30 touchdowns. I have him at 31. So I got 3905 yards, 31 touchdowns, and we'll go with a passer rating of, it's tough to figure out because the formulas. We're going with passer rating, not QBR, right? So the scale.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll go with a passer rating of 92.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Grote, I'll take this one and give you a couple more minutes to think here. But Studs is shockingly close to my yardage prediction.
Wow. Okay.
Also, a Bears single-season franchise record of 3,912. I've got 7 extra yards tacked on my total than Studs had.
We're gonna be tracking that. We're gonna be tracking that like crazy.
I have 4 fewer touchdown passes. I have him with 27 touchdown passes for the season and a passer rating of 98.1. That marries up with my prediction just a few minutes ago that he's going to be the Bears team MVP. I think you're right. Getting to 4,000 is challenging, particularly in an offense that's going to emphasize the run the way Ben Johnson wants to emphasize the run. But that's a pretty good year here if you're setting a Bears franchise record in passing yards, throwing for 27 touchdowns and putting a rating of 98.1. Those are my Caleb Williams lines for 2025. Grote.
Guys, I am ashamed to tell you that I am taking the under on what you guys have discussed total yardage wise. Not far off from you guys, though. I have Caleb Williams down for 3,856 yards
All right.
for this season. And Adam, you laid it out very well in terms of the challenge of throwing for 4,000 yards. I also think it could be slow going early on, and he could catch on and catch fire later in the year and rack up those stats and get close to 4,000. And, you know, if the Bears are going to do what they have been discussing, and that is get the ball to your playmaker, you don't have to be a hero every single time. And obviously those yards after the catch can go on the quarterback's record, but that's why I'm hesitating and not going crazy with the yards yet. I do have him for 24 touchdown passes, and I do have him down for 9 interceptions this year as well, and a rating of 94.3.
I feel like we are all in a very similar ballpark here, which is nice to see.
I think the goal was on this one was like better than last year, but I don't think any of us were willing to do the 4,000 yard thing yet. Am I right about that? Like that was part of my calculating. Yeah. Yep.
So I will say that as a reminder, the Bears single season passing record is 38-38. So we all do have Caleb setting the Bears single season passing record.
Yeah, mine barely because I have 56. So 56. So yeah, barely, but I got it. Yep.
Brody got him there with the last completion of the season right against the Lions here at Soldier Field.
We got to face these guys, you know?
We got 3 categories left. I'm going to take the lead on this one, and it's the new one for 2025, and it's the signature win. We all gave our win totals earlier, and now we're asked to dive a little bit deeper into that win total for a signature win of the season. I'm taking you guys to Monday Night Football, Week 6, Northwest Stadium in Washington, D.C. It is the prediction of a Bears revival in their House of Horrors from 2024. They go to Washington. They beat the Commanders. Caleb Williams outduels and outlasts Jaden Daniels. And not only does he outduel and outlast Jaden Daniels, he leads a game-winning field goal drive in the final minutes with Cairo Santos doing the dirty work at the end to seal a victory in a place that the Bears lost in horrific fashion in 2024, and this time can leave with their chins held high.
Is there going to be time on the clock when Cairo Santos hits that field goal? So will they have a chance to defend a Hail Mary is my question.
That's a fantastic question. Didn't give it enough thought. I'm going to say that there will be 7 seconds when Cairo makes the field goal.
Okay, so potentially another Hail Mary defense. Okay, a lot of redemption going on there.
Well, so
DA will send some extra rushers.
It is also after the bye week again this year, right? At Washington, it's a very similar scenario, and I'm not going to be like Studs and change my answer. I have the same answer down here on my chart. The Bears' signature win. You and I are thinking along this. This is no fun, but I same thing at Washington, Monday Night Football in Week 6 because they can't lose that game. They have to win that game. That game ruined everything last year. So while Ben Johnson's, of course, going to eschew that and say that was last year, every player in that locker room knows what unhinged last year's season. So the Bears will win that game because they have to win that game.
Adam Studzinski, our resident bookkeeper here on Take the North, is going to be so disappointed when we both pick the Bears to lose in our game predictions that week when we get to Week 6.
Fluidity.
That would be absurd if you guys do that. You can't. So I think we can. You guys can lock in your picks there. Although things can change in the next 6-7 weeks. Anyway, my turn, right? So I'm gonna go. So Dan, I know that you have a flair for the dramatic, and so I am gonna go on similar lines, but I'm going all the way down to week 18 against the Lions.
Oh,
that game is in Chicago at Soldier Field to finish off the season. I have the Bears winning that game to get their 10th win and lock up a playoff spot.
That is a signature.
Thank you for not doing Washington.
It would have been boring if we all did, right? I just felt like that's kind of like an easy one for us to all to go to. Not that I don't love what you guys went to, but I feel like I felt like none of us would go to Detroit, so I went to Detroit.
All right, here we go. 2 left. The penultimate category of today's episode is who is going to take the North? Who is your NFC North champion for 2025? Mark Grote.
I went Detroit. I know that, look, they've lost all their coaches. I understand a couple of them are on the Bears, and I don't discount that, but I don't count that as much as I think everybody else does. Talent wins, and even if it takes them a second to get their acts together, Aiden Hutchinson back, everybody is back for the most part. I think it's going to be the Detroit Lions taking the North, and obviously, Green Bay is going to be right there. I don't expect Minnesota to fall unless JJ McCarthy just blows, but it is the Detroit Lions for me.
I am going to match that Detroit Lions prediction and tell you the same things. That yes, they did lose Aaron Glenn, they did lose Ben Johnson, but this is a vote of confidence in what you mentioned, the talent level that is still there in that building, and then also in Dan Campbell to be a guy who can resonate and help guide them across this sea of change that they're going through right now. And so they're going to come back a little bit. They're certainly not winning 15 games again. It might be a 12-win season for the Lions this year, but until further notice, that is the most talent-stacked roster in this division. And until they prove that they're not up to the challenge, I'm going to keep them as the team that took the North a couple years ago, hasn't given it back, and may not give it back this year. Studs, is it going to be 3 for 3?
It's okay, buddy. If this Detroit's on your mind, just
I actually just thought of a fun scenario that No, I'm gonna go Detroit. I'm gonna go Detroit. I still think that Detroit has the best roster, like you guys have been saying. Dan Campbell's a great. I do think that it's gonna take less than 15 games to win the division this year, so it'll probably be 12 or 13 wins. So I do think that Detroit's going to win the division, though. And again, the Packers will be right there. And obviously, with my record prediction, I have the Bears, in the vicinity. So I'm going to go Detroit. I just think, like you guys said, until we see otherwise, they're the most talented team in the division, and they'll probably find a way to be there again.
We need to get one of those AI videos of Dan Campbell saying, "We're going to take the North and never give it back," and then we'll just play that for this segment every year.
You're right, sir. Sorry about our podcast.
maybe we'll switch venues. All right, last category here, and we're gonna go right back to Adam for this one. This is our Super Bowl. It is our AFC and NFC champion and our victor of the Super Bowl. Studs, what do you got for the final Sunday of the season in February?
Okay, so I think that the NFC is kind of easier for me. I think the Eagles are going to be there again. I just think they're so damn good. And I still think that there's the Eagles and then a tier break and kind of the rest of the teams in the NFC. So I'm going with the Eagles to come out of the NFC. In the AFC, I have the Bills finally getting over the hump against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And I have the Bills winning the Super Bowl with Josh Allen being the Super Bowl MVP. I don't think we were supposed to pick that, but I just thought I would.
I like it. Last year, I think that was my pick. I think I had the Bills winning the Super Bowl and breaking their long curse that they've had on that. And this year, I don't even have them getting to the final game. I've got the Eagles, like you, Adam, defending in the NFC and being the team that remains the team to beat. Hey, this is a vote of confidence in Vic Fangio, right? That guy's still calling defenses up and dialing things up for a pretty talent-stocked unit over there. They've got enough horsepower to get through the NFC. And then in that quarterback-loaded AFC, I've got Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, coordinated by Todd Monken, who's got ties to
Love Todd.
He's got ties to Grote's High School in Lake Park.
That's right.
Todd Monken helps them get to the Super Bowl, and the Ravens ultimately, in a battle of birds on Super Bowl Sunday, beat the Eagles.
Oh my God. Well, guys, I don't understand your picks because, of course, the Bears are going to go to the no. Dan, I think maybe you and I need to start spending less time together because I have Baltimore. Baltimore against Philadelphia is what I have as well. I have Baltimore winning it all. Did you have Philadelphia winning it all, Dan?
No, I had the Ravens.
Okay, so you and I are thinking along the same Monken path. I guess we both just have an affection. No, I just think that's a team that's loaded with talent, and I think that they are ripe and ready to go. Teams just don't win back to back in the Super Bowl anymore unless you're didn't the Chiefs do it? I can't remember.
Yeah, the Chiefs were going for 3 in a row last year.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right.
They'd won back to back.
But before that, there was like a long ass drought. It just is not common. So yeah, I think Baltimore against Philadelphia and the Ravens win the damn Super Bowl.
See, now this is a problem that we've had before in this podcast. None of us put the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so you know they're going to be there.
Yeah, it's probably pretty naive of us, quite frankly.
Always.
Yeah.
It just feels too chalky, right? Like it just doesn't feel right to do it. But you're right that they're probably the safe pick every year.
This has been a blast, guys. This was really fun. I felt good. I was nervous at first, but my confidence is sprouting. I hope you guys feel good about your picks, and it'll be fun at the end of the season to see how wrong or right we were. And Dan, I'm going to see you in a few seconds, so I will not be able to get away from you. Your influence will continue on me. But I hope you had fun in this. Dan, anything else, man, before we get the heck out of here?
Yeah, one more thing, and I would like us to maybe revisit this either at the end of this week or early next week. Albert Breer came out with a piece today at SI.com ranking quarterbacks. We did a couple months ago. We had Mike Sando at The Athletic do his quarterback tiers, and Albert Breer reached out to 88 people around the league and came up with the list of who people around the league think are going to be the top 5 quarterbacks when this year ends. I bring this up in this moment because the top 4, the Mount Rushmore that everyone agrees on with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson, are all in the other conference. And it just struck me at how blessed the Bears are to have their window of opportunity potentially opening at a time when all these guys are playing in the other side of the league, right? And they don't have to run through them. But it's something we can go into a little bit later on. But I thought that was fascinating to just take note of that once again, that, boy, you talk about not having to survive that gauntlet. God bless everybody in the AFC for having to try to do that.
That's a great point. I mean, it's fun to boast your own conference as being really good, but to not have to deal with that gauntlet, although the Bears are dealing with the gauntlet themselves with Baltimore and Cincinnati on the schedule this year.
No
but
doubt.
point taken for sure. This has been fun. Always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. And for Dan Wiederer of The Athletic and of The Score, for our executive producer, Adam Studzinski, I am Mark Grote saying thank you for watching, listening to, and subscribing to the Take the North podcast.
Great talk. See you out there.